so many times we talk about Dutch national teams, the quality that they do have, and how they always seem to self-destruct. And this really leans into that. Because even if everything that Van Basten and Gullitt is saying about Virgil van Dijk is absolutely true, if everything they're saying is 100% true, and you are trying to help the player, you are trying to help the national team, there's a way you phrase it.
Sure.
There are things you avoid. Gullitt saying he won his award, didn't he? Yeah. I mean, I have absolutely no idea what purpose that is to serve, other than, as the boys have been saying, to frame this as an attack. It's an attack on a very talented player who's having a rough time, who comes into a national team, given the successes at the World Cup. Their mate, the new manager, changes the formation. He can't find the same passing lanes into midfield and has a little bit of an issue adjusting early on. Holland are 1-0 down after 90 seconds. They're 2 down in the 8th minute on the back of a goalkeeping error. And at that point, the entire Dutch team are like caught in headlights.
Yep.
How you put that fully down to Virgil van Dijk is beyond me. And again, even if it were, and you are trying to help one of your most talented players, one of the most talented players of a generation, there's ways you say exactly that. There's ways you help him. This does nothing but, again, feeding into that Dutch self-destruction.
They just wanted a target, didn't they?
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
They wanted a target, they wanted to make a noise, they wanted to make a splash, and they needed a target. Look, he has been, and I think he'll be smarting from this, because he...
Of course he would, yeah.
Because I've noticed it with some of the criticism that he's had at Liverpool, when he's after-match interviews.
Yeah, he's bit back a bit, hasn't he?
He's bit back a little bit, and you think, all right, he's had a lot of praise, and rightly so. And he shouldered some of the blame in some sense because he's obviously the best defender they've got at Liverpool, and he is the captain. But he was smarting a little bit from it. But I think it was criticism about his performances. This is a whole new level, isn't it?
Yes.
Just nonsense.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it strikes as being very personal. Looking at Van Dijk in the big picture, as Ian mentioned, Mario, I think a couple of years ago, many would have him as the best defender in Europe. Where would you put him now? Let's get your top 5 list, shall we, of centre-backs as it stands. Where would he be on that list? You've got him in at number 5.
Yeah. Yeah, also because the reason why I put him there, it's not because I don't like Van Dijk or it's something personal. Look, I like him I think he's the best player. It's like what we just mentioned, like his journey coming into where he is. Beautiful journey, how he captured himself. Because in Holland, he wasn't highlighted as one of the top teams. Then takes his journey himself, goes to Celtic, comes to Southampton, goes to Liverpool, and then took it by storm. What a player he became. The other ones, you understand, I also look at the ones that you look at the time of now, you understand? And if I look at Rudiger, I put him as number 1 because that's one of the players that I would like to play again, next to. Because I think like he does so much work, and it's almost like you sometimes can stand next to him and just have a small cigar. It's the same what I had with Van Dijk if I would have put him at number 1 back in the days. There's a small cigar, just play easy because he does all the job. And I think that's just slightly coming down on Van Dijk. But if you're in my top 5, I still qualify you as one of the best defenders in the world. So yes, Van Dijk belongs in that group, I feel.
But I tell you what, I know he's old, but I would put above most of them, I would put Thiago Silva.
He's been the one highlight, I think, for Chelsea.
I mean, you just want out-and-out defending and reading the game. Still got good pace.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned, was it Botman yesterday? I mean, he's not at that level. He's not at that level yet, I don't think. But certainly Thiago Silva, when you're looking at defenders.
Yeah. Anyone, Stevie, else you'd chuck in there?
No, I would switch Thiago Silva with Marquinhos.
Yeah.
But I think rightly so.
What about the 2 Arsenal boys? One of them. What about Saliba?
Saliba, yeah. Well, I think if you look at this list pretty much, we're talking about a period of time. Saliba's been great this season.
Right.
So I think it's a little early to turn around and say he should be in the top 5. All of these guys, including Silva, if you put him in as well, have had a significant amount of time where you can say, without any argument, they're one of the best in Europe. So, yeah.
Where are you putting Sula?
Sula? Say what?
There's Sergio Ramos in this as well.
Where's the bin? Where's the bin?
Ian, do you want to chuck us your 2 pennies as well?
Well, I'm surprised that you've got Antonio Rudiger at number one, because he's had a lot of criticism around Madrid this season. I mean, yeah, if you're talking about the last few years, definitely. I mean, you wouldn't argue with Rudiger even on the telephone, would you? He's that kind of. You know something? I wouldn't have him as number one this season for sure, because I think he's had a bit of an iffy start, if I'm honest with you, with Real Madrid.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, Van Dijk, he probably is 4 or 5 at the moment. But I think over the last 4 or 5 years, he's pretty much number one.
Yes,
But
I agree.
To Ian's point, in that entire list, how many of those players over the last 2 or 3 seasons haven't come in for significant periods of criticism, including Marquinhos, probably the only one being Thiago Silva, the only one who's not been criticised over the last few years. So, listen, I sympathise with Van Dijk, the period he's going through, the criticisms that he's come under. But we know how good a player he is. If we were starting a club right now and had to build around a centre-back, Van Dijk would most certainly be very high in that reckoning because you know how good he can be. Maybe just needs that fresh start, just some kind of a change.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.